What's up everybody, and welcome back with another episode of 5 cool mods. A lot of people in college at least are starting school this week, so we didn't have a ton of new mods, but there are still quite a few interesting tidbits out there. We actually got quite a few weapon mods this week, and some pretty cool weapon mods nonetheless. As always, if you do enjoy the content, I encourage you guys to consider subscribing or support me on Patreon if you're feeling particularly generous today. But with that, let's get right into it. So the first mod I do want to show you guys is the Ppsh 41. I'm sure you've heard of this if you played Call of Duty World at War or really any World War II game. It's pretty much a staple for those. There's a lot of good things with this gun and a few things that aren't so great. First and foremost, the model is awesome. I think the gun looks pretty good. One of my major gripes being where the hands sit. You don't quite hold the weapon right, and there's a lot of clipping, and it's really obvious, especially with the drum magazine. On the flip side, if you use the regular stick magazine, it actually uses grab the damn mag. If you don't know, that's an animation replacer, so basically that looks amazing, and I'm really happy that they decided to go with using that, basically incorporating someone else's hard work, which is good. Unfortunately, even with the stick magazine around the trigger and everything, there is a lot of clipping, and more so than a usual mod. On top of that, the wood textures on this don't look the best. I think the metal stock does look quite a bit better, but other than that, the gun is a ton of fun to use. I think they get the damage really good with this thing. You shoot really fast, but you're not killing enemies overly fast. It's definitely going to be used in the later parts of the game, plus Fallout 4 really lacks a good SMG, so this can definitely be one of your options for filling that gap, and all around it's a fun gun to mess around with and use. I'm excited to see a few more updates to fix some of those things I talked about, and this will definitely be a top contender for an SMG mod. N.E.S.T Survival Bunkers. N.E.S.T standing for the Nuclear Environmental Survival Technology Bunkers. What this mod does is incorporate a bunch of bunkers around the Commonwealth. These are basically used by people that couldn't get into the vaults, but they still had some kind of plan for when the bombs fell. The best part about this mod is what you find in the bunkers. For that reason, I'm only showing you one of them. They're scattered all throughout the Commonwealth, so I would just download this mod and forget you have it installed and go play the game. You'll find one eventually, and it'll be a nice, pleasant surprise. Basically, some of the bunkers will be inhabited, taken over by people. Other ones are just totally abandoned, where people either died in there, or you could tell they left it, or maybe just never made it to the bunker. I explored quite a few of them, and there were a lot of really cool stories. Not like books, but you could just see, okay, this is a cool little thing going on here, and I don't want to spoil anything, but I would just play this mod for yourself and check out some of the bunkers. Assaultron Miscellaneous Armor. So what this mod adds in is a ton of new additions for Assaultrons using Automatron. Basically, you'll find new weapons, new armor parts, and just a lot more customizability options. You can put Gatling guns on them, shish kebabs. You can give them sentry armor, but like Assaultron fitted sentry armor. It's a really cool mod for what I feel like was a almost abandoned DLC. I really like Automatron, and I think it's a really cool concept, but I feel like a lot of mod potential for it was overlooked or just basically not taken advantage of. There are two major mods for the DLC, this being one of them now, adding in a lot of extra content that the DLC didn't necessarily add on its own. I definitely recommend checking this out, especially if you use Automatrons as a companion. The Star Trek Phaser. So this is the phaser from the original 1960s Star Trek series, and what this is really high quality. It's by D. Magnus, who has made quite a few other pistol mods in the past, all of them also being very high quality, but just looking at this thing, I don't know, I couldn't stop looking at this thing. It looks so good in Fallout 4. I don't really know all that much about Star Trek, I've never really watched it, I've seen like one of the movies, but I really enjoyed my time with this weapon mod. It does have a few modifications for it, basically able to change the different phaser types. So you have a stun setting, a kill setting, and a vaporize setting. The stun setting will stun people, the vaporize setting will do the most damage, and the kill setting does about half as much damage. Stunning people with this thing is a ton of fun because of the way it fires. Basically, when you fire the weapon, it has a beam, so you could hypothetically stun a ton of people very quickly. It uses fusion cores as ammo. If you're a fan of Star Trek or really just like good laser mods, I would definitely recommend checking this one out. It looks good and is extremely practical. Last but not least, we do have the Scout Trooper Armor. So this adding in the famous Scout Trooper Armor from the Star Wars series. Look at that, a video with Star Trek and Star Wars. Although it is called an armor, it really just is a helmet. The armor itself is, I think, a retextured Brotherhood of Steel uniform with some combat armor over it. It works well, but I would like to see a fully custom edition of that. But the helmet itself does look really nice, although the textures aren't the highest quality. I'd love to see a little bit of a bump there as well, but the modeling and even the existing textures textures aren't horrible. Especially if you're a Star Wars fan, you'll definitely really like this. I wouldn't consider myself a Star Wars fan, and I had a ton of fun using this armor just for this nostalgia factor. Using this in addition with some of the Darth Vader armors out there, or even some of the other Star Wars weapons that have been released, is a great way to experience it. I had a ton of fun with this armor, and I love to see some new updates making it a little bit higher quality, but otherwise it is a very good download. And even though it is basically just a retexture, I do really like how he included the bodysuit there. A lot of mods won't actually include that, just including the helmet, and then it's annoying to have to make a suit together that actually looks good with the armor. That's going to be it for this one though, guys. I do hope you enjoyed. If you did, I encourage you guys to consider subscribing, but with that, I hope to see you all next time. Later.